Okay, okay, got it. That's right.
Okay, Harry. Just go ahead and state exactly kind of what you want to see happen in concern in regards to the letter of intent that you wrote recently.
Basically, if I may, I'll go ahead, Harry. Basically, what we're trying to do here, Harry, is you've asked me to, or I brought a letter of intent to you to sell your property, and we don't want anybody to contest the letter of intent later should something happen. And I'm concerned because of the sell amount that you asked me to pay you for the property being $45 million. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Honey, you need to speak up.
My concerns are that the property is worth far in excess to $45 million, as in the letter of intent stated. It had appraised for $82 or $89 million like 25 years ago, and I personally believe the property's worth $400 million, and when developed, 2.8.
Is he taking this down?
Oh yeah, it's being recorded, Harry. and we're doing this basically, Harry, because I'm on the front line here, and they're going to try and get me for what was that lawyer stated today that I was doing what? What was that keyword he had used? Do you remember what it was?
Inducing.
Inducing you to do this. In other words, I'm pushing you to do this. But go ahead, Harry. You state whatever it is you wish to state. You're live.
Well, I talked this over with my wife, and we decided that we would accept $45 million in cash in the next...
Well, what it is we'll execute the documents as called out for. We're going to execute the purchase contract in 15 days, and then we will move forward to get you the
I
cash.
have created a contract that the land will be ready for closing the escrow within 30 days.
After we execute the 15-day the purchase contract in 15 days, and shortly thereafter, we're estimated at 30 days, we should have you cashed out, right?
Within 30 days, the property would be cashed out at $45 million cash, and the property will belong to Jamie Gonzalez.
Thank you, Harry. You're a superstar. And your reason, Harry? I mean,
And the reason
I feel honored, that I'm in this position, and if anything, why me?
The reason we're doing this is my wife and I wish to travel, and for our last years be on the road instead of having a big, I don't know what you'd call it, but a big lemon
Right.
on our hands.
Harry, is the reason why you chose to sell the property and the home on Alta here for $45 million as opposed to getting what it could be worth? Why such a drastic drop in value?
The reason I'm selling the property is, one of the reasons I'm selling the property
So
is...
cheap. Why so cheap, Harry?
The property I know is worth at least $100 million or more, and we're taking 45 because we have been threatened our life, and I cannot put my wife under that stress. So we are dropping the price to get rid of the property so we won't have anybody threatening us anymore.
Harry, I want to mention that you don't have to sell the property for less money in order to stop the threats. You know that.
Well,
so I mean.
Well, we don't want to...
I'm sorry, Linda?
That's all we need. 45 million is a lot of money, and we're older.
I just, I don't feel comfortable paying you less than what the property is worth, and I thank you for it.
But you've done a lot of work for us.
Thank you, Linda. I
Put
appreciate
in
that.
a lot of time.
We feel that, my wife and I feel that $45 million after we pay our taxes and get everything cleaned up, we would have enough to live on. and that's all we care about.
And Harry, you mentioned somebody was threatening you with your life. Who was threatening with your life?
Yes, people threatened us with
Can you name who the
threatened
people
my
are?
wife several times. They've also threatened my brother, and I really believe, and I do have some proof, that my brother Lee was poisoned.
And who was it you believe is threatening you and was behind all this?
Well, I don't know if I could tell you that.
You can, Harry. I mean, this is.
This is your
I think
your
Mr. Rhodes and
declaration.
his wife are the ones that have, I believe, poisoned my brother Lee. And every time something happens, they say, if you don't do what I say, you'll wind up just like Lee.
And who says that to you?
Michael
Michael who?
DiCamaza said that to me, that I would wind up like Lee if I don't sign the papers.
Did he also make threats to, in terms of Norm or anything
He
like that?
also made threats to my other brother Norman and my sister when they were alive.
And the quick claim deeds, Harry, that you signed over, what was the reasoning for that? Because that
I
seems
signed those quick claim deeds under duress because they threatened my family, and I was not afraid of them, but they threatened my family, so I could not back out. I had to sign them.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is there anything else you want to say before
Linda, I know that you don't have your Hollywood makeup on today, and you wish not to be on camera. But anything you could say that the camera could capture. And
Bring it, honey, what you have.
Well,
I realize also, Harry, that this you're going to be putting together a last will and testament.
yes,
And in the event that something should happen to you, it is my understanding, as you have given me the power of attorney to execute on your behalf, that Linda is your beneficiary. Is that correct? Your
that's
wife?
right,
Okay.
yes.
I just
Linda
want
will be my beneficiary if anything happens to me in the interim.
Okay, so me knowing this, and
Yes.
I will execute on that behalf, Linda, and it's my honor to execute. And just so you know, Harry, I'm going to keep it coming, and my full intentions are to bring criminal prosecution to everyone that has conspired to do this to your family. And it's been a very difficult.
Yeah.
Very trying.
I think that's it, isn't it?
Okay.
Okay, my question is, did we cover all the bases that we need to as far as this particular tape goes?
Yeah, unless you'd like to add something, Linda. I mean, I know you
I
got
would like
words.
to add something.
You please do, Harry.
I believe that the properties that Rufus Rhodes has stolen from the trust should belong to Mr. Gonzalez after the case is won. After the case.
Thank you, Harry. I will no doubt form a foundation to carry on, as I know the Mansdorfs had at one time tried to form a foundation called the Mansdorf Family Foundation. And with all due respects, that will be for elder abuse. As
Beautiful.
this is a horrific case. I do believe this is the worst case of elder abuse in modern California time. We've had a difficult time in getting anyone to take notice because this group is just extremely crafty and just very good.
Their resources are just
Unbelievable.
unbelievable.
Right.
They just seem to never run out of
You know,
people.
one of the things that surprised me, Linda, is how you had mentioned how Gia Kamaza had questioned you as to what your income was. You know.
Oh, he wanted to know when was I going to start getting Social Security, what kind of benefits. Always wanted to know if Harry had any hidden assets.
Right.
Threatened me with, I have, the IRS is closing in. If he has any, you're going to, Harry said he could get us a house, we wanted the money from the sale of this house to pay it off. He personally said, no, I have something else in mind for that money. And he says, and you know you can't have any money in your name for at least 5 years.
Right. And Harry, the $25,000 that it shows that he paid for the house, did you ever receive any of that
No.
money? Nothing.
No money.
And the $2.5 million that he took the loan against the house, did you receive any of that money?
None.
Uh-huh. And have you ever received any money whatsoever for all the priceless Malibu land?
Not a penny.
Not a penny. And although you were aware of your brother's project in Malibu that you guys designed with Mr. Wong, and it's the documents are there. Lee had valued the project at about $2.2 billion back in the day. There's an English group now that currently is Malibu-North.com that shows a project worth in the neighborhood of about $2.8 billion for that property. Have you? Were you aware? Did you work with them on that project? On that? Did you? In other words, do you know these people working on this project, or do they have your authorization to do that?
No, they didn't have our authorization, but I believe it's done by the German group, Mr. Rayner,
Okay.
who was working with us to try to buy the property.
Okay.
But he never could come up with a bank that would say that he had the money.
Right.
And how long ago was that?
And that's about 4 years ago,
That was right before Lee died,
or even 2 years before Lee died.
so
About-
maybe more about 5 years ago. Then.
Yeah, and Lee had a deal with them to sell them the property if we can verify the funds.
Mhm.
And all the information that he sent in was no good because we couldn't verify any funds.
And Patrick Moriarty, what do you know of that gentleman?
Oh, I don't know too much about him except that he was in trouble at one time in jail, and my brother helped him get out. I don't know how he did that.
I think that last I remember the story, it was Cooch, your former attorney.
Yeah.
His sister, I think, was dating Senator Hatch or something like that.
Senator Hatch, my brother knew
He
Senator Hatch.
He was
and
instrumental in getting Moriarty
Senator
out.
Hatch was instrumental in getting Moriarty out of the jail.
And Frank Firestone, what do you know of Frank Firestone?
I don't know much about
You
it.
don't know much about him.
But he
you-
tells a lot of stories.
Yeah, but you do mention this Vegas group a lot.
Well, the only thing I could tell you is what Mike told me, so
Mhm.
I don't know how true it is.
What did Mike tell you about them? Because
He
I
said-
noticed that he in his tapes, the most recent threatening call tapes that we have been receiving on your receiver,
Right.
he mentions me being involved with Moriarty, Linda being involved with Moriarty.
Yes.
Of course, you know I met you through Moriarty as he introduced me to you. Supposedly I was supposed to help him with $15,000 a month in paying some type of an option fee to hold the property at bay, but he introduced me as the buyer. Whoa, okay, I'm buying the property. Well, some people would say to me, well, how is it you can buy this property? I mean, so much money. The fact of the matter is, Harry, this is not rocket science. If you have a property that's worth a couple $100 million and you have to pay a nominal fee for it, well, any bank will step up to the plate and give you the money, in that the property would be secured by the loan against the property. And quite frankly, any bank, I believe, would love to put a note against that and hope that I didn't pay so that they would keep the property, you see.
I think so.
Yeah, exactly. So that, just so you know, so that there's no misleading things that I'm coming off and trying to basically tell you that I'm somebody I'm not. I was used by Moriarty to come in and convince you to enter into some type of a contractual agreement. And that contractual agreement was to tie up the property. And I now know that, or feel that. Mr. Moriarty was looking to work in the LNG terminal on the site. As you know, he had been working on that for, maybe 10, 15 years in the past?
Oh, about 4 or 5 years,
Yeah, well, no, I mean, but it dates back long before Lee died, at least 10 years,
Well,
when they started the
about-
LNG stuff.
About 10
Because I know Jin Wong has been involved for 12 years, so it must have been prior to that. So I would say probably about 14 years or so. It is my belief that Moriarty was instrumental in preventing your family from developing the project.
I wouldn't
Because,
know that.
yeah, but I believe that he may have been instrumental in making it difficult for your family to procure the entitlements in order to bring about such a development. As you know, the development is pretty big. It involves a 22-hole golf course plus 4, a hotel site with about 120 rooms. Two hotels are positioning for that, the Four Seasons and the Ritz-Carlton. Also, there's 22 courts, tennis courts for PTA-style type tournaments. And, of course, the golf course is, they're slating it for PGA. I think Arnold Palmer's who they're trying to work with, or working with Fazio or somebody like that. And then there's like 300 condominiums. Each condominium is slated to be sold from the neighborhood of $6 million. And the land sites, depending on how big the dirt is, if it's 2.5 acres per home site, that would be that would fit in about 120 homes, and each parcel is slated at $10 million. Okay, and now the marina is a whole separate issue, and then there's a retail shop, which is what I originally was positioning to get, as you told me, Jamie, get those 4 parcels. That's what I was bargaining for when I came in to negotiate the deal. And that Harry has I remember getting a call from Harry, and I was just overwhelmed in that Harry had offered, he had come with some buyers that had called him, and they were willing to pay $85 million, and Harry was selling his property back then for $55. And then what was in tune on that was that the buyer. I mean, Harry would tell me, Jamie, I have somebody for you in the property. I want you to sell them the property, or check them out for me. And I remember you telling me they'll pay $85 million. I'll sell it to you for $55, and go ahead and make yourself some money, Harry. I mean, you were allowing me to make $30 million. And I says, well, Harry, that's a little too much for me. I'll just take the 2 parcels over the 4 parcels, which where Harry had directed me to. That's where the marina site was going in. And I was very comfortable moving that forward. But this has turned out to be quite an affair. I've been on this project now since mid-July 2005. July this year will now make it 3 years. And it's been nonstop, Harry. It's been nonstop. I've taken some radical beatings. And as you know, I've told you a number of times, my life has been up for grabs a few times, but I kept coming, Harry. And I want to thank you, sir. It's an honor to stand up to the plate, and I will do whatever it takes in my power and I know I got some battles ahead. You know, I know the judge is going to try and get me for practicing law without a lawyer, without a license. In your honor, sir, I'm going to practice, I'm going to study now to take the bar exam. And in that, I would like to deliver the final blow to these rat bastards. So I will specialize in criminal law, because that's what's going to end up. Not contractual law, not family law, none of that. Criminal law. So that'll be my focus, because conspiracies are not easy to prove, but we have overwhelming evidence, sir. Overwhelming evidence. And, you know, we just are good to move forward. And it's going to take a little time, Harry. It's a little patience. You have expressed an interest in wanting to move. So we're now with the letter of intent. I can now move for the funds to pay you out and settle all pending matters related to whatever is pending here. And my objective is to just put an end to this thing as quickly as possible. We have several avenues that we're pursuing. It appears now that the LA Times is going to give us a break. And once the story breaks, Harry, it's going to be all hell, you know. And as you could see, when we went to the police department the other day, and you attempted to report, you know, the elder abuse, and they
that
failed.
was Beverly Hills?
Beverly Hills, yeah. And they failed to, you know, to react on the matter. They basically wanted us to go to Ventura County. And I said, well, what about the home? You know, I mean, the home is in LA County, you know. And it didn't matter to them. It is my suspicion that somebody in that department is involved, and they don't want to be the arresting party on Giacomazza, because they know that if they grab Giacomazza and they drop him in the can, well, then Giacomazza is going to be yelling for that somebody. And we would only hope that our country can take this story for what it is and learn from it and understand that this
It is so easy to get duped by people who tell you They are going to do good by you and take everything you own.
I mean, they reduced Harry and your family to his VA bill and his Social Security benefits,
That's right.
and they took every dollar,
And
every
they
penny.
checked constantly to make sure that there wasn't any additional funds to be gotten at.
It's unbelievable. And you know, Harry, this particular tape was meant more for the letter of intent, just to protect me. But we are going to follow this up with a documentary, sir, because we believe your family history is something to be told. I mean, you know, with the guppy and everything, and what your family has done for this country is phenomenal.
Okay, you can shut that off.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Almost. Hold on, wait. Go.
In closing,
The trust also owned properties in Latuna Canyon and some other parts of Los Angeles, and these properties were all taken by Rufus's group, and the trust received no funds for any of the property that was sold after Lee passed away.
Okay, and
And there was 835 acres in Latuna Canyon. There was another 300 acres in Latuna Canyon. And there was 400 lots in Los Angeles, and all of these were taken by Rufus's group.
Also, Harry, you might want to mention the property in Venezuela.
Oh, no, I don't want to do that. I get it too big, huh?
well, it's
The-
property.
The trust also owned 75,000 acres in Venezuela. That acreage is still there, and our name is on the title. I don't know if we can salvage it, or it might be gone by now, but it's still in our name. And it is bare land, and it has a river in it, the Orinoco River, that runs 17 miles through the property.
What would you like for us to do with that?
And I would like somebody to go down and investigate the title to see if we still own it, or it went back to the state. We do not know.
And in the event, Harry, that it is salvageable, how would you like us to?
In the event that it's salvageable, I would like to have Mr. Gonzalez
Thank you.
handle
Disposition?
the disposition of the property. Whoever buys it, we wouldn't care who buys it. But it is quite a
Be
bit
through
of
his
property.
neutral. Would be through,
And the property
Jamie's-
has got water, it's got oil, and it's got diamonds on it.
Diamonds, the Burrs. We're going to be battling the Burrs family.
That's it.
okay, and then so what's today's date is the is March 4th, Tuesday of 2008. And sir, your name is?
My name is Harry Mansdorf.
Not Harold.
And you are not under arrest at this time. You are not pressured into recording any of this. This is all under your own free will, right?
This is at my own free will, yes.
And Harry, one more thing. One thing we might not have mentioned, and because it's mentioned in the letter of intent, the 45 million includes the property here. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure it's on there because they're going to say, I amended this or I amended that. And once again, I certainly don't want to be called an elder abuser. And how I act and how I carry out your wishes and bring about the final project known as Deer Creek now. We've renamed the project, Harry. It's now Point Malibu. And there will be a Mansdorf museum there, by all means. And a guppy.
So,
Okay.
all right, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.